lot of people have big ideas, like maybe writing a book or starting a YouTube channel, or in my case, becoming a van lifer and traveling. Back in December the 20th, I came up with this idea of becoming a van lifer and spending some time on the road, traveling across America. But I was struggling because it was just an idea, and I was trying to figure out how I could make it happen. Now, I have traveled in the past. I have been a van lifer in the past. There were times when I was on the road for as long as a year and a half. And so it's not new to me, the lifestyle, but it's been probably about 10 years before I've been in that lifestyle. I've lived a pretty much traditional life. I went back to school. I got my art degree. I ran an art gallery and had my own art studio and some other things. But I wasn't traveling like I had been. But there was a time before then that I was traveling full time. So I'm not a total stranger to the lifestyle. But I'm at a point now where I'm thinking, or at least I was thinking back on December the 20th, I want to go back to traveling. I want to spend some time on the road. And that was just the idea. Well, over time, I began to try to see how I'm going to turn that idea into a project. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. If you've got a project that you want to work on, it's going to start with an idea, right? So when we think about turning an idea into a project, is there a method where we can turn an idea into a project? Well, I'm going to suggest these are the steps that I'm taking. Now, you may be different, but my idea back in December was to become a van lifer, to purchase a van and travel, and to create content for YouTube while I travel. That was the idea. Well, once you have the idea, the next step is to define the vision. Start really thinking about what it's going to look like and clearly define what that idea is going to be. In my mind, I was thinking early on that I was just going to buy a used van, maybe build it out myself and travel and build out the van as I moved along. And while I was on the road, build it out as I go. But my vision began to change over time, and I came up with this idea of Van Life America. And it changed the entire idea and gave me a much more clearer vision of what I want to do. And so once I clearly defined that this is the direction I was going to take, the next step was to come up with some sort of an idea in terms of the platform, how I was going to pull this off. Then once I got the platform, I had to start looking at the infrastructure, if I can spell it. Infrastructure. In terms of the details, what's the things that I need to include in the van? What are the systems that are going to have to be in place? And as I moved my way down this list, it becomes more and more defined and much more clear in terms of the direction I'm heading. And there's a big learning curve involved here in terms of myself, because I'm not a mechanic and I'm not a person who knows how to build out a van. I've never done that. So I'm learning as I go, especially in this stage of the infrastructure of learning about the plumbing systems and learning about the electrical systems. All of that's part of that. And then, of course, it takes money. In order to bring your idea into a project and make that project a reality, it's going to cost money. So then you start thinking about the funding. So these are the steps that I'm taking: idea, define the vision, what platform am I going to use, the infrastructure, and the funding. And that's what I'll be sharing with you today in terms of the idea that I have of purchasing a van and hitting the road and creating content. Over the past few days, really the last week and a half, I've been slowly revealing to you about this idea that I've been working on, something bigger than just buying a van. I did a video about thinking big rather than thinking small, and I started thinking big. It's going to be more than just buying a van and hitting the road. So I've been sharing with you and revealing to you over a period of videos slowly the idea of Van Life America. So the Van Life America project is really a 3-year project that's an exploration of life on the road in North America. And I'll say North America because I include Canada in that. I'll be traveling in a van across the US and Canada, documenting the growing culture of van life. And I want to really get to know what it's like for people who travel full time in their vans, RVs, or even their cars. It's an entire culture out there that I want to explore. So that's the vision. And also as an artist and a writer and a photographer and a content creator on YouTube, my goal is to document this movement, to document van life in America. Movement, a movement that I see as expanding. There's an estimated 3 million people involved in full time living on the road right now, and I think the numbers are going up. So that's that's the vision. So if I were to define the vision, it began as an idea. The vision became much more clearer when I thought of Van Life America as a 3-year project that really nailed it down for me in terms of making it a solid vision. So Van Life America is the project I'm giving a title to in terms of the project to purchase the van and hit the road and study van life over a 3-year period. Okay, so I came up with the idea of becoming a van lifer, and then the vision that I defined was Van Life America as a project. It's a 3-year project where I'm going to purchase a van and hit the road for 3 years and study van life as a culture and create content, create art, maybe do some writing, and look at it in terms of almost as a documentary filmmaker. That's the vision. And now comes the platform in terms of what the platform's going to look like. So the next step is we're going to build the platform, and the primary platform is going to be my YouTube channel, Mitch and His Van. That's where I'll be sharing the journey as it unfolds. This YouTube channel, Mitch and His Van, will sort of be the hub, be the headquarters. It'll be the main place that I create the content and share the content. of the journey of what's going on. Now, along the way, I'll be creating artwork along the way, inspired by the landscapes and the people and the places I visit. And I'll continue to write and self-publish books like I've done in the past about the experience. And so, although I'll be creating content on the YouTube channel, I'll also be creating art. And the idea is to have an annual exhibition where I will bring all of the art together in one place and things that I've done over the year, and we'll have an exhibition. So that's the platform. Now, the next part of the project is the infrastructure. Once you have your platform, for me, it's YouTube primarily. Now we're thinking about in terms of the infrastructure. The project centers around a Ford Transit van that will be built out as a mobile creative studio. I'll need a place where I can work and write and edit videos and upload to YouTube using Starlink. I'll need a place to store paintings and art supplies. So that's going to be part of the infrastructure. The van's going to include probably a hybrid of all electric and maybe some propane. I'll check into that. I would like to go as electric as possible. It'll have some solar power. It'll have communication equipment. It'll have everything that I need to live on the road full time. And I'll be working with my van builder to come up with the details of that. So that's the infrastructure. Okay, once you've got the infrastructure in place, then of course you've got to think in terms of the funding. We've got to build a funding model. Got to figure out how we're going to pay for this thing. How are we going to bring our project into a reality? Projects like this don't just happen. Projects of this magnitude, I mean, we're looking at 3 years of life on the road in a van, so it's not gonna be something that's gonna happen overnight. It's gonna require a lot of planning and resources. My goal is to fund Van Life America primarily through partnerships with companies, sponsorships that will become a part of my team, become a part of my family, that will support me on the project. So I'll be looking for sponsorships, mainly companies who have a nationwide reach who will want to be a part of what I'm doing. I'll have a title sponsor, a title partner. This company will be my main sponsor. They'll get most of the benefits that I will offer, and I'll also have several strategic partners, probably somewhere between 4 and 6 second-tier sponsors, people like insurance companies or navigation companies or perhaps companies like Starlink or DJI or Garmin, anything that helps power the van and the journey. So I've got these tiers in place, these sponsorship tiers, and you can look at the video that I did earlier about this where I spelled out in more detail about the sponsorships. So take a look at that and you'll see kind of how I have built this funding model. So what I'm trying to do here is get the entire project paid for through sponsorships. That's the idea. So to sum it all up, over the next 3 years, I plan to travel across the United States and Canada, and I'm going to document the people, places, and culture of van life. That's the bottom line. I'm going to travel, meet people, go to events, and get involved in van life and create content and create art and really study the van life culture. Now, that means some days I may be visiting a national park, some days I may be on the road traveling 8 or 10 hours a day, some days I'll be sitting at a campfire talking with fellow van lifers at meetups. There's all kinds of things going on that I can be a part of in terms of events. So the vision is clear. The next step is going to be me reaching out to companies and attempting to get them aboard, looking for sponsorships. I'll be looking for people who want to become a part of the Van Life America project and will support me on my journey. So over the coming weeks, I'll be contacting potential sponsors and I'll be looking for partners who want to bring this idea to life. And of course, if you've seen the videos I've done over the last few days, you see the idea of the van wraps and how the sponsors will be a part of the exposure of the van as I travel across America. I'll be a traveling billboard with their logo and their information being spread out across the country, and we'll be doing spot ads and doing mentions in the videos. And we want to do whatever we can to help our sponsors succeed and build their brands as they help me bring this project to life. So that's what we're looking for. So that's where it all started. It started out with a big idea. And every idea, if you want it to become a project, you have to go through certain steps. And I hope some of these steps will help you if you have an idea that you want to bring to life. So think about that. Think about the steps that I've gone through in terms of defining my vision and thinking about the platform. How am I going to share this vision? How am I going to have a foundation for this vision to come to place? And what's the infrastructure going to be? And how am I going to pay for it? So Van Life America starts right here. It's going to continue. So it's a big idea, and every journey has to start somewhere. So this is the beginning of my journey, the start of Van Life America. And I hope you'll stay around and you'll be a part of it. Well, this has been my update for today. Go out and have a good day, and we will see you tomorrow.